Part 6. The Crisis in Democratic Morality. In order to guarantee the triumph of their interests in big questions, the ruling classes are constrained to make concessions on secondary questions, naturally only so long as these concessions are reconciled in the bookkeeping. During the epoch of capitalistic upsurge, especially in the last few decades before the World War, these concessions, at least in relation to the top layers of the proletariat, were of a completely genuine nature. Industry at that time expanded almost uninterruptedly. The prosperity of the civilized nations, partially too that of the toiling masses, increased. Democracy appeared solid. Workers' organizations grew. At the same time, reformist tendencies deepened. The relations between the classes softened, at least outwardly. Thus, certain elementary moral precepts in social relations were established along with the norms of democracy and the habits of class collaboration. The impression was created of an ever more free, more just, and more humane society. The rising line of progress seemed infinite to common sense. Instead, however, war broke out, with a train of convulsions, crises, catastrophes, epidemics, and bestiality. The economic life of mankind landed in an impasse. The class antagonisms became sharp and naked. The safety valves of democracy began to explode one after the other. The elementary moral precepts seemed even more fragile than the democratic institutions and reformist illusions. Mendacity, slander, bribery, venality, coercion, murder grew to unprecedented dimensions. To a stunned simpleton, all these vexations seemed a temporary result of war. Actually, they are manifestations of imperialist decline. The decay of capitalism denotes the decay of contemporary society, with its right and its morals. The synthesis of imperialist turpitude is fascism, directly begotten of the bankruptcy of bourgeois democracy before the problems of the imperialist epoch. Remnants of democracy continue still to exist only in the rich capitalist aristocracies. For each democrat in England, France, Holland, Belgium, there is a certain number of colonial slaves. 60 families dominate the democracy of the United States, and so forth. Moreover, shoots of fascism grow rapidly in all democracies. Stalinism, in its turn, is the product of imperialist pressure upon a backward and isolated workers' state, a symmetrical complement in its own genre to fascism. While idealistic Philistines, anarchists, of course, occupy first place, tirelessly unmask Marxist amoralism in their press, the American trusts, according to John L. Lewis, CIO, are spending not less than $80 million a year on the practical struggle against revolutionary demoralization. That is, espionage, bribery of workers, frame-ups, and dark alley murders. The categorical imperative sometimes chooses circuitous ways for its triumph. Let us note, in justice, that the most sincere and at the same time most limited petty bourgeois moralists still live even today in the idealized memories of yesterday and hope for its return. They do not understand that morality is a function of the class struggle, that democratic morality corresponds to the epoch of liberal and progressive capitalism, that the sharpening of the class struggle in passing through its latest phase definitely and irrevocably destroyed this morality, that in its place came the morality of fascism on one side and on the other the morality of proletarian revolution.